And say this is period 4 for science. Hey, we have.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, work.
Hi.
How's school doing today?
Good.
Are you filling your brains with knowledge?
Yes.
That's great. That's awesome. Are you happy that it's Friday? You get the weekend off?
Yes.
Hey, back when I was in school, we used to have to go 7 days a week all year long. I'm just teasing. No, I'm just teasing. So, but the cool thing is, and your teacher, Miss Mason, will tell you, we got a much longer summer vacation than you get. But the only reason why is you guys are kind of lucky now that you get a lot more time off during the school year. We didn't get that much time off once we started school. So, but boy, we got a long summer. But let's talk some geology and building. What do you say?
Yeah. Talk about rock. Rock on. Hi. My name
Hello. So if you guys have questions, like we did at the other class, I know you're going to have to kind of come up to where the camera is. Miss Mason will show you.
Yes. So here's our first student. She's coming up on the microphone right here.
Howdy.
I was wondering what college you went to get your degree in geology.
Oh, that's a great question. So I went.
Know your questions.
That's a wonderful question. I went to the University of Cincinnati in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is not, it's just east of you guys. You're in St. Louis, right?
Yeah. STL.
Okay, so all you got to do is jump in the Ohio River there and swim up the Ohio River, I don't know, 300-400 miles, and you'll get to where I was. But I was born and raised in Cincinnati, and this is a very interesting story. The college was only about a mile from my house. So as crazy as this sounds, I used to walk to school every day. I was able to walk to college and walk back home every day.
College.
Crazy.
Right.
You get a lot of walking in.
Letting us get to know Mr. Carter a little bit. Who had our first question? I think it was Holden. Holden.
Do I walk over here?
Yep, so that you can see you and hear you.
Cool.
Okay, first question.
Wait.
Yeah, paper would be good.
Okay, so, eek. If rocks are in the ground, could it affect how a school is built?
Yes. The only way that it really affects it, believe it or not, is it just adds to the construction cost. Because think about it. A lot of the things in your classroom right there, I see you guys have a table that's got steel legs, right? And the chairs that some of you are sitting on are made out of steel. And I can see that ductwork up above Miss Mason's head. That's made out of steel. So the way that all that's made is they have to actually take rock right out of the ground. So there are machines that can easily get rock out of the ground and get it out of the way. So it's just, rock's not going to be a problem. You just need more money to build the school.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Who had Jack?
It's me.
It's you.
Okay. Hello. I'm Jack.
Hello.
You're the first person to introduce themselves and then ask questions.
Okay, what if other things like pipes get in the way of building a school? What would happen then?
Okay, great question. Here's what you need to know. Everybody write this down or type it in your notebooks. You can get on, before you ever dig into the ground to build anything, call this phone number, 811. A very simple number, 811. And they will ask you what the address is, and that company will come out for free. And they come out for free, and they will mark with spray paint on the ground the location of any hidden utilities, because you don't want to dig through a giant, huge natural gas pipeline that could explode. You don't want to dig through a giant set of fiber optic internet cables. You don't want to dig through buried electric lines. You don't want to dig through buried water lines. You don't want to dig through buried sewer lines. So you have to get those marked first. So that's a hidden danger. There are bunches of other hidden dangers. You might buy a piece of ground to build this new school on. What happens if 100 years ago it used to be a gully and some person filled the gully in with a bunch of trash or a bunch of trees, and then they put dirt on top of it? So you might think it's a really great building site, but in reality, it's got very bad soil underneath it. There could be, I can tell you that in Cincinnati, I once was brought in, I was a real estate broker, and I was once brought in where a house in Cincinnati, actually several of them, were built directly on top of huge sewers, a sewer pipe big enough that you could drive a truck through. Yeah, but back then it was legal. They were allowed, and they let people build on top of these sewers. It's crazy. So those are some of the hidden dangers. What you want to do is, before you buy a piece of ground for something like a project this big, you would want to put in your contract that you would want to have a geotechnical engineer. Write that down, guys, or type it in. So that's GEOTECH, a geotech engineer, to come out and look at the land and tell you if the land is any good.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That was a great question, by the way. Fantastic question.
Hi, I'm Mia, and I'm really excited to ask you questions.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you. Well, okay, this one's kind of like the last one, but how can you tell where a good place is to build a new building when you're first deciding where to choose?
Okay, you want to know, how do you decide what's a good piece of land? That's a fantastic question. The biggest thing that you should always be worried about is water, as crazy as this sounds. And I'm not talking about drinking water. I'm talking about, you don't want to build my wife and I were just talking about this an hour ago. Get this, because this project, you're talking about building a new school, right? Yeah. What if I told you, and since you guys can look this up on the internet, maybe after the class or in a little bit, I want you to go online, and Miss Mason will look up, there's a school in Cincinnati, Ohio, a school that you could attend. It's part of the Cincinnati Public Schools, that they built in the floodplain of the Ohio River, and it's built on these giant stilts.
What's it called?
Well, it's just a public school down in the East End. But the point I'm trying to make is, my wife and I were laughing because when the river floods, how in the world are you kids supposed to get to school? Do you go to school in rowboats? I mean, it's crazy. So they should have never built the school in the floodplain of the river. So the best site is, you want to be away from floodwater. You'd like to be up on top of a gentle hill where most of the water runs. Yeah, that might be the school. It's up on these big giant pillars like table legs. Yeah, that's it. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? So you don't want to build a school like that. So you don't want to build in a floodplain.
It's called Riverview.
Yeah, so you want to be up on a hill, a very gentle hill where the water drains away from all the buildings. And one last thing, young lady, you want to have really great southern exposure, because you want to be able to you want to take advantage of solar, like solar power, solar hot water heating for the school.
That was similar. Remember when we talked about solar energy with the forces of energy that drive the rock cycle? So solar energy was one of those forces of energy, and also the internal energy. So think about what he's saying, not just using it to drive the rock cycle, but it can help power the building and things that are around it. Okay. Riley, you're up.
Hi, I'm Riley, and I was wondering if there were to be rocks in the ground, would you still be able to build a new school building in that area?
That's a great question. The answer is yes. You can build with rocks in the ground. All it's going to do is just to add a more cost. It's going to be a little bit more expensive because they have to take longer to dig the hole to build the school. So it's you can build if there's rock. Just so what I would want to do is I would prefer to look for a building site. If it was your job to try to find a new place to build a school, guess what? You can get from your local county extension. Actually, they're online for free. So do you know what county you're in? What county are you guys in? Do you know what county? Okay, so while I'm talking, somebody go online and type in soil map for such and such county, Missouri. In other words, go find the soil map for your county. It's for free, it's online, and it will tell you how deep the soils are in different places where you're thinking of building. So you should try to find a building lot that has soil at least 6 to 8 feet deep. There you go, if you found the soil map. Isn't that an amazing resource? It's all free.
That's an excellent link. Somebody put that link in there.
I'll put it on my website.
I'll put it in my Google.
Even better, put it on your website.
It's a PDF.
Right, so who had our next question?
Me.
Thank you, Brian. Go for it, Bruce.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I was wondering how much space you would need if you're going to build a new school.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. You know what? The answer is right in front of you. Right, it's right where you're at right now. Here's how simple it is. So how many school buildings are in your school district? You don't have to tell me, but I'm going to guess it's 5 or 10. You know, there's a bunch of schools in your district. So you would want to ask the principal at each of those schools if they have enough room for everything. In other words, is the parking lot big enough? Are the playgrounds big enough? Is the school building itself big enough? Or do they wish that they would have bought more land when they built the school because maybe they've run out of room? So once you find out which of the principals are the happiest saying, we've got plenty of room, we've got plenty of room, then you look at the map and you see that that particular piece of ground is so many acres. You also need to be concerned about the shape of the land because maybe for a school that it's better if the land is very square in shape. You know, you might not want some very odd piece of ground because then it would be harder to place all of the parking, all of the playground area, all of your athletic fields, you know, things like that. So just go look. Don't try to guess. Just go look and talk to school principals and find out who's got the perfect size school. It's that simple.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
So has anyone come up with a question hearing some of his thoughts?
No.
I had a question before. Anthony, go ahead. You can go up and ask him. You forgot it? Okay. So my question, similar to the one from last period, they've been learning about the rock cycle, the flow of energy, conservation of matter. How can they use that knowledge they're learning to help them figure out a site to build on that would be safe?
Oh, okay. Well, to use the conservation of matter to build a site that's safe. So that kind of goes back to that crazy school in Cincinnati, Ohio. If I was building a school, I would not want to have the school any place where the school could flood. I don't want that because that's part of the rock cycle. In other words, I'm sure you studied that material is eroded from the surface of the earth and the rivers act like conveyor belts that take it to the ocean where it's made into new rock. So you don't want your school building anywhere near where floodwater could take it away. So just that's the first thing. If that answers your question, Chantil.
That does. Thank you.
Okay.
Sylvia, you have a really good one. Come on and ask.
Okay.
Hi, my name
Hi,
is
young lady. Howdy.
My question is there a certain type of rock that is more harmful to the building process than others?
That's more what? What was that? The adjective?
Is there a certain type of rock that is more harmful to building than others?
Oh, okay. More harmful. Oh, that's a great question. So the answer is yes, there is some rock out there that is not as stable. And once again, I'll give you an example. I don't think that you really have any of this where you are in Missouri, but in Cincinnati, we have, which is just, east of you guys, there's a limestone and shale rock formation called the Cope, Kope. So somebody look that up real fast. The Kope formation. What you'll discover is that when that shale rock weathers, and it weathers it's very soft, it turns into this horrible clay that is very slippery, and it's very unstable soil. So you would not want to build on any soil that's on top of the Cope formation. So you would want to look and see if where you're going to build the school, you have any of this very, very bad slippery shale that disintegrates into this very slippery clay. Whereas limestone, on the other part, if you have a lot of limestone rock underneath where you're going to build, that's a very, very stable rock, and you're not going to have any problems at all.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anthony, come on over. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, my name's Anthony, and my question was, how would you figure out if there's a sinkhole under the property that you were going to build on?
Oh, that is a great question, Anthony. So, okay, guys. So somebody else look up really fast this word. It's a crazy word from Germany. It's called karst. Karst. So you would want to look, Anthony, here's what you would do. You would want to look at a topographic map. And I don't know if you guys have studied topographic maps yet. They are wonderful tools. And on a topographic map where there is what we call karst topography, which means there's limestone like they have in Kentucky where Mammoth Cave is, or down in Florida where there's lots of sinkholes, you're going to find circles on these maps with these little hatch marks. So somebody else look up karst topography topo map, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. So when you go to look for a site to build the school, you would look at a regional topographic map and see if you see any of these marks on the map. That would tell you that there's a danger. Once again, it goes also back to what we talked about a few minutes ago. When you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars building a school building, a new one, don't guess about anything. You'll want to hire a geotechnical engineering firm, and they will do a bedrock geology and a soil survey to tell you if the ground is in great shape. So always hire an expert, and they will be able to tell you what's under the soil, what you can't see.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. That was a great question. Great question, young man.
So we're right about at the end of our time before we have to switch classes.
Okay.
What do you guys have to say, Carter?
Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm honored to be in the classroom. I hope I was able to help you guys.
Very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
What
website.
what they may not know yet is we're going to continue to do Google Hangouts with Mr. Carter throughout this project. So that you can continue to ask questions as you design solutions to this problem. Okay? So, Mr. Carter, one of the students, she said, oh, I took a bunch of the information and I put it on my website because they do their science lab books. They're on a website that they build.
Okay.
So I'll share that with you so you can see her website.
Hey, me too.
Just
Wonderful.
a little
Okay.
idea.
So yeah, I'd love to come back. If I can come back and help you guys again, I will. Here's one thing I want you to look into this weekend, guys. Here's a little homework assignment. Type this into your notebook. These two words, new, N-E-W, and then the word Madrid, M-A-D-R-I-D. New Madrid, Missouri. Go read about what happened in that town, okay?
We gotta find out what happened in the town.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. And that's going to come in really handy as we get into our next unit with weathering and erosion.
Yes.
Yep. So definitely. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Carter.
Okay, Chantel. Let me know if you want me to come back.
We will. Okay, I need my
Bye,
mask.
guys.